Um,
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Drive Pink Dialogue. It is an incredibly frustrating moment. I'm joined by my co-host, Saur. We just watched the end of Inter Miami's 2-1 loss to Tigres in a game that is going to be very frustrating to watch back because it felt like Inter Miami had every right to win this game. Ultimately, we lose. Tigres scored on two opportunities that were created by poor clearances from our center backs. I thought there was so much that we learned in this game in a surprising way. Where do you want to start, man? Where do you want to start?
I want to start by blaming the one person and one person alone who's responsible for this loss, and that is Scotty Grays from the Drive Pink Dialogue for jinxing us by calling this a 2-1 loss in the pregame show. You know I never get the predictions right, and you always get the predictions right. So why do you have to call for a 2-1 loss, man? You had one job. That's it. And now I'm pissed, I'm tired, and I don't want to talk about football, and I don't want to look at football for the rest of the week. This is annoying, and this is frustrating.
I'm the opposite. I'm so frustrated right now. I couldn't just move on. I need to vent about this. You think it was my fault, and that's fine. I have broad shoulders. I can take the blame.
I'm a very rational individual.
I think this was on Tata Martino. The substitute for David Martinez with Kristoff at the end is – I hate that. I hate a defensive substitution, a center back out for a center back in the final 10 minutes of the game because that center back is not in the rhythm of the game, and you need them to be perfect. And we saw Kristoff not be able to clear the ball well on – the second goal for Tigres, which costs Inter Miami the game. That's not the biggest reason why I'm blaming Tata Martino. The biggest reason I'm blaming Tata Martino is because he started Cello Wigan over Ian Frey, and I thought Cello Wigan was awful in this game. Yes, he has the moment that gets would have been an assist if it wasn't for the foul that led to the penalty. Other than that, I thought he was awful. I thought he was so bad. Ian Frey in that position would have given us at least a goal. I'm so confident we win that game if Ian Frey starts at right back because there was so much space and opportunity down that right side, and Cello was there trying to take advantage of it, and he just doesn't have the talent or ability or technical skills. Sorry, Cello, you're not a bad player, but you can't do what Ian Frey can do in the final third, and you had so many opportunities to make this game, and you didn't take advantage of them. I'll stop there. Saur, go ahead. Cello was better in the second half, but he was so bad in the first half. There was a goal or two just from him playing better. Sorry, I'm going to have 6 rants like this. I'll stop one player at a time. Go ahead, sorry.
My camera is giving up on me, guys. We need to let Scotty rent when it comes to certain players, and Cello is one of them. I don't think he was awful. I think he was okay. My biggest frustration was why was Matias Roos playing on the right side of the pitch, and why was Julian Gressel playing in the middle? Tata Martino talked about changes. That wasn't the change he was supposed to make. That was such a stupid decision. Matias Roos was so ineffective on the right side, where Julian Gressel has been fantastic for the last 9-10 games. You just made the entire transition ineffective. And I'll be honest, I thought we were better in terms of actually having some dangerous opportunities in front of goal, but we just couldn't finish them. And then Tigres got some couple of really gifted opportunities that they took advantage of, and that was just annoying.
By the way, that first goal for Tigres, while you try and fix your camera, that was an incredible goal. Bravo to them for that goal.
Off the training ground as well. Header, volley in. Jesus.
That was awesome. Okay. I talked about Cello. Aviles, I thought was really bad for the first 25 minutes. He grew into the game. I want to talk about what you just said. The midfield switch between Matias Roos and Julian Gressel. Gressel in the midfield, Rojas out at the right wing. I thought for the first 25 to 30 minutes, we saw why we don't like Julian Gressel in the midfield. He just doesn't cover ground. He doesn't have the defensive capacity that some of our other midfielders have. It's very frustrating. But I thought he grew into the midfield. Same thing with Matias Rojas. They were giving it. Matias Rojas was giving a lot of. How do I put this? Taylor Twellman was giving a lot of flack to Matias Rojas during the second half, and I
was
didn't
watching
agree with a
you.
lot of it. I didn't agree with a lot of it. I thought Matias Roos showed us that he's a natural winger, man. He can take people on one-on-one. He can get to the byline. He can create one-on-one opportunities, which is in the modern game like one of the biggest things you need from a winger. And we don't have anyone like that. Robert Taylor can do it a little bit, but when Lionel Messi's not playing, Julian Gressel doesn't do that. Suarez doesn't really do that, right? We don't have a lot of guys that take people on one-on-one and win. And so I actually thought both Rojas and Gressel grew into their positions. I agree for the first 25, 30, 35 minutes. It wasn't great, but I thought in the second half they were much better.
Although I do think they were better, but they would have been more effective if Matias Roos could have done what he did in the sidelines centrally, because we were needing some penetration.
He doesn't do that, though. But he doesn't do that. We've seen him play in the midfield for the last 3 or 4 games, and he doesn't do any of that stuff. He doesn't take people on. He doesn't make like incredible pass. He's just a passenger for the majority of the game, and he makes runs into the final third or into the box to try and be an opportunity, to try and create an opportunity to score if the ball comes his way. But he's not a creator from the midfield, whereas he can be a creator from the right wing. I agree with you. Julian Gressel also has been very good at creating from the right wing. So I'm not saying like Rojas did better than Gressel would have, and vice versa in the midfield. Gressel did have one ball to Campana, like through the middle. It was like a low, hard ball through the middle, and the keeper came out for it. But, man, if that had come off, it would have been amazing. Should we talk about the good or the bad first?
Let's just get the bad out of the way, because I don't know what's – I'm sulking, man.
Okay, the bad. Toto Aviles, the first ball, he fails to clear it. And it's just like a momentary lapse of judgment where he needs to bomb that away.
Doesn't even fail to clear it. He just passes it into the path of the Tigres player. The ball doesn't fall until it lands on the net, by the way. He passes it up. He lobs it up. Header, volley, back of the net. That was hilarious, wonderful from Tigres, but what was Toto Aviles doing, man? Jesus.
Yeah, he was really struggling for the first half an hour. I've said that already. I thought he was better in the second half. Listen, we saw Tigres come out and press us high and hard, and not having Sergio Busquets in the back line for the first time in a while, we saw like the drop in quality in terms of being able to play out of the back, and that was really hurting us in that first half. I thought Inter Miami didn't respond particularly well to the goal that we allowed. There was another 15 minutes where Tigres was really controlling the game. But other than that, like from minute 15 to minute 35, it was Tigres. It was Tigres' game. And then probably in the last 10 minutes or so. But for much of the rest of the game, I thought Inter Miami was the team that was doing what they wanted to do, the team that was doing what they needed to do to get the result. Okay, next bad. Kristoff, substitute. I'm just kind of going along the back line. David Martinez was really good. We can come back to him. Kristoff came on, and you could see the drop in quality right away. And if you see that as, Tata Martino, or you see that as Chris Henderson, you have to think, we need another center back, because we can't have Serge Kristoff coming in a playoff must-win game that we need to win, because he just doesn't have that same quality. Your whole team's going to become worse.
He always tends to play away from the ball, and I know that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it just feels like you become a lot more defensive when Serge Kristoff comes on the pitch, and it just ruins the entire momentum. Like, it absolutely ruins the entire momentum.
Yeah. Jordi Alba, I thought was bad. We've seen Jordi Alba be amazing for the last 20 minutes of games over the last couple of weeks. And he was bad in this game. And I was waiting for the last 20 minutes for him to take over, and then he gets substituted off. So that was kind of disappointing. Tata had some questionable tactics. Listen, I thought Tata tried something new, and in the first 30 minutes, it didn't really come off, but the guys grew into the game. The tactics weren't what cost us in this game. It was the personnel decisions. I talked about the right back. I've never been so frustrated with Chelo Wiegand, especially because Ian Frey would have made that game. And then, of course, the substitute at the end for Kristoff also cost us, the game. So really, really frustrating from a personnel perspective. Twellman just talks. Yeah, I know. A lot of what Twellman says is just sort of like unbelievable.
Are we moving on to the next bad? Because I have one.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not. Was it me or was Redondo good this game? I'm confused.
No, I didn't think he was.
I'm so confused because
I didn't think he was good.
Okay, when I watched that game, I was really frustrated with him. Like he was making some really silly passes. He was making passes like that were 5 meters away and that weren't properly weighted. I just didn't think he had a good game. And then I look at SofaScore and it's like 7.0 to Frederico Redondo, and I don't think he had any impact on this game, which is so frustrating because, yeah, I don't know, man. I wanted to get your perspective on that.
No, I didn't think he was good either. This is what's so frustrating to me. We had every chance to win this game, I think, from a talent perspective and a technical perspective. We didn't create a ton of clear-cut opportunities. We didn't give them, we gifted them one clear-cut opportunity, and they made an incredible play. But it wasn't like they were just getting shot after shot, opportunity after opportunity. Like, we had every chance to win this game. And that is including the fact that our right back was really poor. Our right center back had a really poor first half. Two of our midfielders, one of them was really bad for the first half in Gressel. I thought Redondo was pretty bad for much of the game. And I thought Jordi Alba was bad. Like, this team could have come into this game and just everyone played 10% better, or at least to their normal standard, and we could have won this game. We just had a couple players that their standard dropped. And I don't know if that's because of the pressure that Tigres was putting on them, or they just had a bad game because of travel, or, the stadium, whatever. But
I thought we played slightly better than Tigres. It could have gone either ways, and it went their way. But I didn't think we were necessarily deserving of a loss. It wasn't outright us being the worst team on the pitch. We had the two better chances than them. There was a chance by Campana after the first goal, immediately after the first goal, that the keeper had a blinder of a save. There was a chance in the first half by Campana where he shot the ball and it went to the keeper as well. There were some really good chances that we created. I thought we had the more clear-cut chances, could have definitely won the game. And as I mentioned in the pregame show, the most frustrating thing about this is Tata Martino said he's going to make some changes. The changes weren't great. They weren't that many either. I felt they were the wrong changes. There wasn't as much experimentation as I would have liked. And then you just end up putting on a team that was pretty much similar to what we've done, different tactics slightly, and you end up losing this game where we could have easily won the game with the personnel on the pitch. It was such a frustrating game to watch, honestly.
Yeah. Skrilla says, Tata better not put Gressel in the midfield when Messi's back. 100% agree. He's going to. Yes. And it's going to make me so mad. And I thought
he is going to. At least two games.
Every game. You just talked about how we didn't see a lot of experimentation. I disagree. I thought Rojas being at right wing and Gressel in the midfield.
No, we saw the wrong experimentation. That wasn't the experimentation we wanted to watch.
That's fine. Like, whether it's right or wrong, you don't know until you do the experiment. And I agree that it wasn't what I would have done. But that's what Tata was trying. And I think, unfortunately, he's going to come out of that game thinking, I saw some things I liked from them as they grew into the game. Okay, next. Ash. I knew Tata was throwing in the towel when he subbed in Kristoff. Dude, I saw that, and I couldn't believe it.
He could have actually kept Bright on, bring Sergio Busquets into the centre-back role, and I thought that would have been a much better change.
Well, Bright was already off at that point.
Yeah, but Bright came off for Sergio Busquets. So that's what I was saying. Instead of bringing Kristoff on, if you wanted to rest David Martinez, bring off David Martinez and bring on Sergio Busquets in his place. I
understand. Yeah. But by the time the Kristoff sub happened, that wasn't an option anymore. So he would have had to plan that out earlier. The tapping of the ball around the box needs to stop. Yeah, someone else I saw as we were too hesitant to shoot in their box from Ash. Absolutely. And this was Redondo most prominently had 3 opportunities at or around the edge of the box where he could have just fired. And he didn't. He tried to pass it off to someone else, and ultimately, lost the opportunity. Yeah, it was bad. Pythia says passing the ball back to Calendar when Boosie isn't there is so cynical. Dude, the quality drop-off from what we've seen in the back line of late with Busquets in there to what we saw today, especially when Serge Kristoff came on, was just glaring, man. It was really bad.
And I'll be honest, man, I'm getting a little bit frustrated with Alvarez. And this is not an overreaction by any means. I feel, of course, he's 19. He needs to be molded properly. But
Stop. This is the post-game instant reaction. You can
yeah,
overreact all you want, dude. That's what we're here for.
I just feel like he never steps up when he's supposed to, and he's considered one of our senior centre backs by all means. So I just feel like he's been dropping some really bad, really stinking performances from time to time now, and it's getting a little bit too much for me to watch. I hope he gets back to a level where he can perform consistently well again, but he has a good game, then he has a bad game, and he has a good game, then he does another bad game. It's just not consistent.
Well, listen, Aviles, we had this conversation on the Heartbeat in the midweek, and you said you wanted to see Aviles and Martinez. And I said, no, let's stick with Busquets and Martinez, because in this Tigres game, we should have known, we knew that they were going to press us high. And in that situation, you want Busquets and David Martinez. I know Busquets got a rest day, but if this was a must-win game, I think you want Busquets and David Martinez against these top-tier Mexican clubs that are going to compress you hard and high up the pitch. That's what you want, because you're going to be able to take care of the ball and still run your offense out of the back. And in fact, you're going to get more opportunities because you're going to like suck them out of position and then play around them and create more going the other way. But we couldn't do that with Aviles, and he really struggled in the first half an hour, 35 minutes. Again, I thought he was better in the second half, but I 100% agree with what you're saying. And the first goal, again, it was a great goal by Brunetta, who we talked about in the pregame show, but that's on Aviles more than anyone else. AZ says, actually, we had that chance in the last 10 minutes of the game. Afonso header. Yeah, but you're talking about like your fifth choice winger who's a rookie coming on to try and win the game for you. Like, anyways, Benzin says, Campana frustrated me the most. He's a striker, role playing as a midfielder, terrible 1-on-1-2. Our forwards always hesitated, never pulled the trigger, no creativity. By the way, another player that was a little hesitant to pull the trigger was Matias Roos, because he didn't have the kind of opportunities that Redondo had, but Rojas is a guy you just expect to just fire shots off. Campana, I thought was excellent in the second half. Once he scored that goal, that was like the weight lifted off his shoulder. I really do think this record was holding over him, and him getting that penalty, putting the record behind him. Now he can just focus. He really had a lot of confidence after that goal. I thought he was going to deliver us, the winner, but ultimately not.
He was close. He was very, very close. And what a penalty, by the way. What an absolute bomb of a penalty. Loved it.
Yeah, Jordi Alba was bad. Robert Taylor, a little bit of a quiet game, had a few moments. I thought Matias Rojas, and maybe I'm alone on this, but I thought Rojas had some really good moments one-on-one. And you can tell he's that's his position, is to be a winger and to get out there and take guys on one-on-one. He had a moment where he beats a guy to the edge and comes around, and then he tries to cross it and he just hits it too high. But that was like, if he puts it like at like a normal height, it just bounces off Campana or Robert Taylor and just wiggles into the net. That would have been an amazing play from him. It just wasn't quite there. But again, this is a player we haven't seen on the wing a lot lately. I'm just going through everyone that played. Drake Callender, I didn't think either of the goals were on him. He's
maybe
not
the first goal he could have been positioned slightly better, but it was so unexpected, man.
Yeah. Leo Afonso, I thought, looked good. Busquets came on, and you could see he just calmed everything down. Kristoff, we talked about. David Ruiz didn't do much. Franco Negri didn't do much. Okay, let's talk about the good things. David Martinez, really good defensively. We talked about it in the pregame show. We talked about it after last game. He was excellent in distribution, but in this game, he got challenged a lot more defensively. He won a couple headers in the box. He had a couple one-on-one opportunities that he had to defend. He was good in transition. He was not quite as elite in terms of his distribution, but of course he didn't have as much time and space on the ball. He was still good. He wasn't turning the ball over in any dangerous areas. I thought among the four on the back line, he was by far the best. And it was a shame that he came off. I think we have a chance to win this game if he doesn't.
There was a moment in the first half where a Tigres player got a run in behind our defense, and he was straight through on goal, and David Martinez was chasing him. And I was like, okay, he's got absolutely rinsed here. And as soon as I said that, he was there. He got a foot in, prevented the shot coming off, and it went out. Turns out it was offside. Yeah. But that, I think, sums up perfectly how well he is positioned and how well he understands when to run forward, when to close the gap. I thought he was really, really good this entire game. And again, I didn't think Tigres had that many clear-cut opportunities. They got some really lucky chances because of Inter Miami's mistakes. And if we shut them down like we did the rest of the game, we would have won it. And I thought David Martinez was a big reason of why we were so organized in terms of Tigres not having that much of a dominance of the ball. In the first half, they had about 60%. And yet it didn't feel like a Monterrey game where you expected them to continuously come at you and score. It felt like a bit of a back and forth with them maybe being slightly on top. So I think he had a good game. He proved himself against a really tough opposition, and it's a shame that nobody in the back line supported him the way that he was playing, because I felt like if we had the same defensive setup or the same performance levels as against Puebla, we would have done a lot better in this game.
Okay, and then we talked a little bit about Campana. I thought he was really good in the second half. I thought he was solid through most of this game. And then once he scored the goal, he took just like a light switched. And then lastly, Yannick Bright is a monster, dude. He was, to me, the best player on a minute-to-minute basis. He's like, where did this guy come from? And how did we get so lucky to land him? But he's a monster, and he's the best player on the field.
I'm telling you now, enjoy him while you can, because he's not going to be an Inter Miami player for long. The way he's playing, the way his performances are, he is going to get picked up very quickly.
He starts like when everyone's healthy, it's Lionel Messi at right wing, it's Yannick Bright at defensive midfielder. Well, it's Drake Calendar, and there's Yannick Bright defensive. You pick him at the 6 and fill him into the team sheet before Busquets goes wherever Busquets is going to go. Busquets starts, but you choose later where you want to put Busquets. Same thing with, Robert Taylor or Diego Gomez. Like, it starts with Messi at right wing, and then Yannick Bright at defensive midfielder are the first 2 names on the team sheet, because he's a monster. And, it came to me during this game, why Yannick Bright looks so different and why he's so important to this team. But if you look at almost every player on Inter Miami, they are better in the opposition half than they are in their own half. Ian Frey, better in the opposition half. Lionel Messi, Julian Gressel, Matias Roos, Federico Redondo, Benjamin Kramaski, Diego Gomez, Campana, Suarez, Robert Taylor, like everyone, Jordi Alba, everyone other than our center backs is better in the opposition half. And
honestly, so maybe even Aviles might be better in the second half, not in our half.
Busquets is, but yeah. So when you have so many guys that aren't particularly effective in their own half, having Yannick Bright be in the right position at the right time to just kill so many potential opportunities for the other team, it is a godsend.
And he eats up ground. He eats up ground.
I'll be honest with you. If I have one spot on this team to add, like a player to this roster, it might be another defensive midfielder, because if Yannick Bright's not in the game, you're going back to getting run over in the midfield, which we saw a little bit in the last 20 minutes of this game. And your defense just doesn't have the talent to hold up. I'd probably go another center back first, and we saw that, and we can talk about that in a minute. But, man, that true 6 is so important. And Yannick Bright has not just been that role, but he's been great at it. And I thought he was a monster again tonight. To me, he was our best player throughout the game.
I'm not going to add much to it because we know how much we're going to talk about Yannick Bright tomorrow. So I'm going to leave it at that. Completely agree with you.
Ash says, it's concerning that occasionally our players seem surprised that the ball is coming their way.
I laughed at this. This is so true. This is so true, Ash. It feels like sometimes last game we played phenomenally well. We played really well over a stretch of 7 games. And there's just that one game where there are glimpses of, okay, where's the elite Inter Miami that we've been watching for the last 7 games? Because sometimes they just do things that are so bizarre, so bizarre.
Hash says Yannick Bright is going to be picked up next after Gomez. I have been the number one supporter of this player since the preseason, since the first 10 minutes we saw when he was an 8, not even a 6, out in Japan or Hong Kong maybe. I think you guys are getting a little ahead of yourselves. He has started 10 professional games, and beyond that, he doesn't have the crazy tools that really stand out to bigger clubs. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I think Kramaski's going first. I think, like, if I was a European scout, I would watch Ian Frey and be more excited than Yannick Bright. But Yannick Bright is really awesome. And maybe that's just the delusional part of me hoping that we get 10 years of Yannick Bright. But I do think it's gotten a little bit out over his skis. And if that's coming from me, I think that means it's probably time to slow down a little bit with this player.
I do think we need to get him on our podcast, though. That's for sure.
Yeah,
if someone can make that happen, that'd be wild.
That's on you, man. Nuno says Aviles might be a bust. Listen, he's 19. Okay. We're going to play probably Pachuca in the next game in a do-or-die knockout game. I don't want Aviles starting. We're gonna play games in the playoffs, in the MLS Cup playoffs against Cincinnati and Columbus. I don't think I want Toto Aviles starting.
Not by that level of performance, definitely not.
Which means you need right now Busquets and David Martinez. I think we're going to get another center back. I think that's why we went out and got an international roster slot. I think it's to get another center back who will be our 2 center backs, Martinez and whoever comes in. I think that's what Tata's always wanted. I think they really struggled to move Kristoff, and I still think they're going to struggle to move Kristoff. But ultimately, this is if Inter Miami is going to play to their maximum potential, it's not with Aviles on the back line. He's a young, exciting prospect, and I'm sure he's got a really bright future. And I'm happy to see him start against Toronto if we play Toronto by some chance. But if we're playing Pachuca, if we're playing Columbus in the next round, it's Busquets and David Martinez, man.
I agree with you. 100% agree with you. This team looks so much more comfortable with 2 ball-playing center backs.
And it opens up the game. And by the way, I want to get back to something I'm frustrated by. Pythias says, Bright and Gomez seem by far the hungriest and get so many turnovers. Yeah, those 2 they're amazing, man. I feel so blessed that we get 2 midfielders like this, 2 young midfielders of that kind of quality and intensity and like want in their game. It's awesome. Okay. I know I started with this, but I'm going to end with it too. Cello Wiegand was really bad in this game. There were so many opportunities down that right channel, and he was getting up there, and he just didn't have the quality to do anything with it. And Ian Frey does. And I'm telling you right now, if Ian Frey started that game, we would have won. Probably 3-1. Now, this is the first time where I'm thinking to myself, like, Tata, it is not okay to start Cello over Ian Frey. I get the health concerns, but the health concerns are like, you can't play him consistently, fine, but you're not playing him right now in a game or in games that matter and in games where he is going to single-handedly make your team significantly better and give you a much better chance to win. And instead, you're choosing to play a lesser player. I don't think Cello has been consistently bad. I think he's been fine, but he's been fine. In this game, he was bad, and so I'm extra calling it out, but he's been fine. Ian Frey has been outstanding every single time. Whether he comes on for 10 minutes off the bench or he starts, he's been outstanding. He needs to be the starting right back on Thursday night when we play Pachuca. He has to be. He has to be. And the fact that he didn't even play tonight blows my mind. He has to start on Thursday night.
Yeah, I think tomorrow when we do the post-game show, we need to have a conversation about why Tata Martino thinks about certain ways, certain things that he does, because it's very obvious to a lot of us that Ian Frey is definitely a better player in that right back spot than Cello Wiegand. And Tata did the same with Gressel, ran him into the ground in that central midfield position till he had no more left in him. And then as soon as he rested him for a couple of games, put him in the right wing spot, he looked a transformed player. I do think he's going to come to the realization eventually. I hope it's sooner rather than later because otherwise it's going to be a long, long road up until the playoffs for us.
No, but we've been very complimentary of Tata Martino over the last couple of months and what he's been able to get out of this team without Lionel Messi and without Luis Suarez. And, tonight we were missing those same guys, right? And Diego Gomez as well. And Matias Rojas was out for a while. Like, I think he's done a genuinely good job.
Yeah, for sure.
But if we, in 2 weeks, have Lionel Messi back, or 3 weeks, whenever we play, 3 weeks from today, we're supposed to play FC Cincinnati in MLS. If he starts Chelo Wiegand at right back and he starts Julian Gressel in the midfield with Busquets and like Diego Gomez, and we're getting run over and we're just hoping we score 3 or 4 goals because Messi's awesome and Luis Suarez are awesome, and he doesn't learn that Julian Gressel doesn't belong in this midfield, and Yannick Bright does. Chelo Wiegand can't provide what Ian Frey can provide. Like, if he doesn't take those lessons to heart,
there's no growth for the team yet.
Okay, guys, we're going to wrap it up there because all I've done is make myself more frustrated at Tata Martino.
I told you.
Please do us a favor. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button because we really appreciate that. It was fun as always. I love doing these post-game shows because it's just all raw emotion. And we'll be back tomorrow.
Not when we lose. Not when we lose.
No.
It's frustrating
because then I get to vent, and that's fun too, or not fun, but therapeutic. We'll be back tomorrow with our post-game recap. We'll rewatch the game. We'll go through all the big moments. We'll talk about who was particularly good, who was particularly bad, the tactics. We'll give out some awards, all the things we normally do. But for now, that's it. An unfortunate 2-1 loss. Guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful night and a wonderful Sunday morning and afternoon. See you guys then.